The cliff edge at Mount Horeb offered no shelter. Elijah crouched, fingers locked into the jagged stone as the wind tore at his balance, ripping pebbles from the mountain face and sending them into the void. He did not look down. He focused on the friction of rock against his palm. Then, the howling wind snapped into total silence. The stillness lasted only a heartbeat before the ground beneath him shuddered. A violent tremor threw him against the mountain, the stone grinding against his chest. He pressed his forehead into the dust, mouth tight, waiting for the earth to settle. It did not. Instead, the sky ignited. Tongues of orange flame licked across the summit, scorching the dry brush and turning the air into a furnace. Elijah remained motionless, his eyes fixed on the path ahead, though the heat singed the very air he breathed. The mountain was shedding its surface, and he was the only living thing caught in the fury. He held his position, waiting for the fire to spend its strength against the stone. The fire lost its appetite, the orange glow dimming until only the scent of scorched earth remained. The mountain fell into a silence so dense it felt physical. Elijah remained pressed to the ground, his lungs burning from the thin air. He waited for a second wave, a strike or a shout, but the mountain offered nothing. Slowly, he lifted his head. The landscape was altered, the brush blackened and the stone paths shifted. He pushed himself up, his legs shaking with the strain of the ordeal. He did not scan the horizon for threats. He turned toward the mouth of the cave. He listened, not with his ears, but with his focus, stripping away the echoes of the storm. Then it came, a whisper. It lacked the violence of the wind or the weight of the tremor, yet it carried a precision that cut through the exhaustion. The sound was not a suggestion, it was a map. Elijah felt the clarity settle into his marrow, overriding his fatigue. He turned his back on the cave, the mountain's fury now irrelevant. He began the long walk, his mind locked onto the path he had been given. The descent was a slow extraction from the mountain's height. Each step down the jagged slope forced his knees to lock and buckle, the impact vibrating through his tired frame. His satchel swung empty against his hip, a hollow reminder of the miles ahead. By noon, the valley floor had become a trap of white heat. The sun struck the ground, and the glare bounced back in shimmering waves that distorted the horizon. He walked, his pace steady but heavy, the dust coating his skin in a thick, dry layer. He stumbled once, his boot catching on a loose stone, and he caught himself with a sharp, jagged breath. He did not stop. He did not drink. He kept his eyes leveled on the distant, hazy outline of the city gate. Every muscle in his legs screamed against the constant pressure of the incline and the relentless furnace of the day, but he channeled the ache into the rhythm of his stride. The command was a weight in his mind, more substantial than food or water. He moved with a grim, mechanical persistence, crossing the barren scrubland as the heat peaked, his resolve refusing to bend under the crushing weight of the midday sun. The city gate loomed, a wall of sun-baked stone. Beside it, the widow knelt in the dust, her fingers working through a small bundle of sticks. Elijah halted, his shadow falling over her. He did not ask for rest. He spoke the command, his voice raspy but steady. The widow looked up. She set the sticks aside and stood, her gaze moving from his face to the empty vessels inside her home. She turned, stepped through the doorway, and tipped the jar. At first, nothing. Then, the sound of thick liquid hitting the bottom of the basin. She tilted the vessel further. The oil did not drip, it poured. It flowed in a heavy, golden stream that refused to break. Elijah leaned his weight against the gate frame, his eyes fixed on the basin. The liquid pooled, rose, and filled the container, yet the flow remained constant. It swirled with a viscous, steady rhythm, defying the emptiness that had defined her home moments before. He watched the surface of the oil glisten, the light catching the liquid as it climbed the sides of the vessel. The miracle was quiet, physical, and absolute. He stood motionless, his presence anchored to the reality of the overflowing basin, witnessing the unseen command turn into life. The flow stopped, and the vessel stood full. The air in the small room carried the heavy, rich scent of the oil. Elijah watched the widow touch the rim of the container, her fingers trembling as she realized the depth of the provision. He did not speak. He did not offer a smile or a word of comfort. His duty was complete in this place. He stepped back, the threshold of the home feeling small against the vastness of the task still ahead. The sun had long since slipped below the horizon, leaving the city's streets in deep, jagged silhouettes. Elijah turned his back to the warmth of the home and stepped out into the cooling night air. The city was a maze of dark alleys and low stone walls. He walked with a steady, measured gait, his footsteps echoing against the packed earth. Every turn took him deeper into the shadows, yet his pace never faltered. He was not looking for a destination. He was following the echo of the whisper that had guided him from the mountain. The mission had no end, only the next step. He moved forward, his presence fading into the dark, his resolve anchored firmly to the command he carried, walking deeper into the unknown with absolute, unwavering certainty.